Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to break down our next matchup for UFC 326. In this one, we have Donte Johnson taking on Cody Brundage. This is, I feel like more of a setup fight for Donte Johnson. Undefeated, 7-0. Could be someone of interest to watch in the middleweight division. He is a former heavyweight moving down to middleweight. Granted, he was a very, very small heavyweight. We're talking about a guy who was, 5'8". So really, middleweight division is more natural weight class against Cody Brundage, who more is kind of a journeyman. Let's just keep it out of buck. He is a journeyman. Now he has some good wins, or he is very good at winning certain fights in certain moments. But more or less, he's a good test to see if someone can get over the hump of UFC jitters and/or just show they're a little bit above in the middleweight division. Now, there's an interesting factor. This is going to be short notice for Cody Brundage, who is replacing Dusko Todorovic. And here's what's weird about this, though. Brundage just fought Cam Rowson at UFC 325, and that was about 5 weeks ago. And he got TKO'd in that fight. I don't know exactly how he's able to fight if he had just gotten TKO'd not that long ago. Like, wouldn't that be the same as Charles Johnson? Taking the fight against Moreno. I don't know. That just seems weird to me. So that's already a bit of a problem, right? Brundage just coming off getting TKO not that long ago, and now he's taking on someone as young, explosive, and as dangerous as Donte Johnson. But that said, actually, let's look at our fighters. Starting with Cody Brundage, he's currently 11-8-1 as a professional, 1-2-1-1, one no contest and one draw. His no contest was against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who kept elbowing him in the back of the head. Brundage's last win was a year ago when he knocked out Julian Marquez. Then he had a draw against Mansour Abdul Malik, where the fight ended prematurely after Malik headbutted him. But now Brundage is on a 2-fight skid, losing to Eric McConaughey in a really weird fight. And then, like I said, getting TKO by Cam Rowston. At best, Brundage is a journeyman. He has flashes of brilliance, but never very consistent. That said, his best weapons are his wrestling. He does have some wrestling to him, that big overhand right of his, and a very good guillotine choke. That's all of Brundage's skills, really. Now, looking at Donte Johnson, he's 7-1 as a professional, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Now, he made his UFC debut not that long ago, about 4 months, where he submitted Cedricus Dumas in what seemed like maybe it could be a tough fight for him because Dumas was wrestling pretty good in that fight, but Donte Johnson eventually just took over, showed he was a better wrestler, and even submitted Dumas, which is the first submission win of his career. Before that, he was just knocking everybody out on the regional scene. Not very good fighters, be real here. 3-11, 6-7, 3-0, and then most recently 7-4 on the Contender Series. Like I said, not the best opposition, but I think Donte Johnson's showing some good progression in his career. But we will see with this matchup. With that said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Donte Johnson. And he is, like I said, relatively inexperienced, 7-0, but he's also young for middleweight too, right? He's 27, which in this division is not only young, but it's going to show that but it gives him a chance to grow. First thing that does stand out is Johnson is very explosive. Now, he's a bit short for the division at 5'8", but he makes up for it with raw athleticism and power. And when Donte Johnson explodes into shots, you can see how dangerous he is. Most of his wins are by knockout, all but one, and that was the submission over Cedricus Dumas. Granted, it was a bit of a weird guillotine choke, and I kind of thought Dumas was just trying to find a way out of there. But it shows that Johnson is developing a grappling game and not just relying on his striking power. And he did wrestle a fair bit in that fight too. Like I said, not elite competition whatsoever. In fact, if he wins against Cody Brundage, it's not the most elite win either. But I think he's at least showing evolution in his game for what it's worth. Now, Johnson also looks like the kind of fighter who can hurt you standing and also threatens you if the fight hits the ground. Now, again, it's growing, right? The submission offense and wrestling offense is still really new and raw. But at least I like the improvements I'm seeing. And I like seeing Johnson already starting to implement those into his toolbox. So I will say that for sure. Now, looking at Cody Brundage, Brundage is a fighter who has always been difficult to just figure out what the fuck he's going to do. At his best, Brundage is a solid wrestler. He can push a grappling heavy game plan and control opponents and grind them out. He is a good wrestler, as shown when he was able to, at one moment, actually out wrestle Bo Nickel for a brief moment, mind you, but showed that he was able to defend takedowns and survive on the ground for Nickel for a lot longer than anybody thought he had any right to. Now, of course, I say this when he got thoroughly out wrestled by Suchuka Suma. So that's what I mean. He's very inconsistent. Now, that said, he does have Brundage has good power. That overhand right of his can put anybody away if it lands clean, or at the bare minimum, hurt them. Like I said, though, the problem with Brundage is he's so damn inconsistent, man. It's so annoying. He'll have moments where he looks really good, right? Explosive, confident, and aggressive. And other moments, it all just crumbles into dust. Plus, you also look at the recent losses that Brundage has had. Now, again, Eric McConaughey, that was a weird fight, but man, he took a beating and a half against Cam Rouston. And like I said, now he's turning, now this short notice fight, 5 weeks later after that finished loss is not ideal situations, both physically and mentally. Now, looking at it stylistically, this fight really just comes down to whether Brundage can implement his wrestling. Because let's be real here, Brundage is the best wrestler Donte Johnson has fought right now. Now, I think Johnson will fight better wrestlers as his career goes on, but as of right now, Brundage is the best, for my opinion. I think while Dumas did out-wrestle Brundage, Brundage has still the better wrestling credentials, and he still is the one who attacks more of his wrestling, I think. If Brundage can't consistently get takedowns and control Johnson to the ground, he could possibly win a decision or help even find that guillotine of his. As Johnson is still relatively untested against really strong wrestlers who are not only bigger than him, but as explosive as Johnson. But if this fight stays standing, I think Johnson probably has the advantage. He's faster. While I think both are explosive, I think Johnson is a bit more explosive. He's a bit more of an athlete, and he appears to carry more consistent power in his strikes. While Brundage does have that, like I said, weird, fluky knockout power of his, that big overhand right can change the fight instantly. But relying on one big shot is a risky strategy against someone who is younger than you, less shot-worn, and could be more, and who is probably the better athlete. Plus, like I said, the consistency factor is just so big in this fight. Brundage has the tools. He has good wrestling. He's got good power. But putting it all together in a disciplined performance is a struggle. And against a fighter like Johnson, who thrives in chaotic, explosive exchanges, any lapse in inconsistency can be costly. And with Johnson's athleticism, it only takes one moment. So, for my official prediction, I gotta go with Donte Johnson. It's kind of easy. He's one of the bigger favorites on this card. He's a 5-1 favorite, and I think for good reason. Now while Brundage, I could see wrestling early, could explode into shots, whether it's wrestling or via his striking. I just think the short notice of it all, the recent knockout loss, and the explosiveness of Donte Johnson is just too much to ask. So I gotta go with the younger, fresher, and more dangerous fighter in Donte Johnson. So for my official prediction, I'm going with Donte Johnson, and I got to pick him via knockout on this one. I see him catching Brundage. It's just, I think, going to be when is the biggest question in this fight. But once again, I'm picking Donte Johnson. I'm going to pick him via knockout. But with that being said, I have been Bo from Brutal Commentary. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.